Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time in Georgia, and I do hope that the word above means something. If not, then just blame Google. Fortunately, we're not going to talk about the Georgian language, which would be a disaster for me. We are going to talk about a topic where I feel more comfortable with. It's about fake news and data-driven journalism, DDJ. I don't know how often you've heard the words DDJ and fake news today. I don't know, because actually my plane got delayed, so I kind of missed all the talks before me. So if you're kind of fed up, now is the chance to seek the emergency exits, because for the next 15 minutes I'm going to talk about, can data-driven journalism save us from fake news? In other words, do we as data journalists, do we have the power to stop fake news, or are we actually a part of the whole problem? Nowadays, it's quite difficult to differ between what is real and what is fake, and it's kind of pretty easy to trap you, to misinform you. When talking about fake news, who actually believed in my delayed plane? So you see, it's kind of pretty easy to be misinformed. And before I get to what part can actually data-driven journalism do to stop fake news, let's talk a little bit about fake news. I digged a little bit into the history of fake news, and I'll just show you one example. This is from 1844, where a very major US newspaper called The Sun published a story about this guy. This is Mason Monk, and the story was that he flew with a balloon. Actually, he crossed with the balloon the Atlantic. The interesting part is that this story was written by a very famous author, and you probably know him. This is this creepy guy. It's called Alan Edgar Poe. He's a criminal author and a science fiction author, and he really kind of regretted it the day after, and he tried to stop the publication, but it was gone through the whole, I mean, a lot of newspapers copied the story, so for decades people believe actually in this fake story. Just for your information, the real story is that this guy, who really existed, flew just from the UK to Germany, so nothing special. Even though we as journalists know that fake news are nothing real, as it started to poison the whole ecosystem, we were kind of pretty confused. We thought that we are the masters of information, that everybody what we write is true, but actually it is not. Nowadays we are more engaged into debunking fake news instead of writing new stuff. For me, it started actually in 2014. I was responsible for the European elections, for the social media coverage of the European elections, and since then I tried to find a way with DDJ how to combat, or how to actually to stop fake news. And actually the whole question is how we debunk fake news. Actually, when we debunk, it may, if we don't know how, it might lead to intensify this fake news. So let me give you an example. And I kind of hope you don't tweet or you don't post it somewhere, and I'm just kind of ignoring the fact that this is screened online, because it kind of can ruin my career, but anyway, let's give it a try. For example, just think about a person coming to you and saying that, well, I saw Rayna yesterday drinking a glass of wine, and then the day after I saw her drinking 2 glasses of wine. She might have problem with alcohol, does she? Let me just stop for a little bit here. I will come to my drinking behavior afterwards, but just to tell you, once people perceived misinformation, it's quite difficult to remove it. I'll give you one example. This is one experiment that was made a couple of years ago. You had a group of people, they were given information about warehouse fire, a supermarket fire, and first of all, they were given misinformation. After this, they were told that this is misinformation and they were given the real facts. Even though they accepted the facts, after this, they had to fill out a questionnaire. And even though they accepted and realized the facts, the real news, they still referred non-intentionally to the fake news. So actually, the solution is not putting more information in people's it works. In people's head, this is not the solution. We definitely need data-driven journalism. This is an experiment that was made with two groups. On the one hand, on the left side, the group received just the text, just wording. And on the right, the people received the same text, exactly the same text, but with data visualization. And the result was that here the people, only 68% of the people believed in the story behind, and here you have 97% of the people that believed in the story. So probably me trying to convince you that I do not have a problem with alcohol, it won't be enough just saying, oh, no, or just writing an email. I definitely need visualization. So when the source is based on my own observation, so I don't know how true it is, but anyway, I just want to, so the peaks, you probably see the peaks. They are reasonable. Believe me, the first peak is my birthday in August, so I think it's quite legitimate to drink on your birthday. And the second one is DataFest. I heard that Georgian wine is quite good, so let's see. I hope that after you have seen this, you won't ask me this. Oh, unfortunately, it's... Anyway, you won't ask me this tonight, even though you see me with a glass of wine. So definitely we need data-driven journalism on our daily basis. I'm a daily reporter, so we need data journalism on our daily basis. But unfortunately, we in Germany still do not do things right or do not debunk things right. This is one example of the fact-checker platform that we have for the public broadcaster. And you see where the problems are. The fake news is actually repeated, the title is actually the fake news. Then you have the person saying the fake news quoted in the first sentence. And then you have a video starting with the fake news and at the end debunking it. But to be honest, who the hell is going to see the whole video? And then, wait for it, you see the little word downstairs, it's called falsch. It means, in German, it means false. So, okay, so in Germany, the problem is that we don't use data-driven journalism because we think, or our editors think that this is very complicated, very complex, very sophisticated, that they need a lot of money, a lot of resources, and a lot of time. And what editors never give you is time. This is one example of mine. It is based on JavaScript, and it is an example 5 years ago. And this is map of Germany with the different counties. We have altogether 16. Down you see a timeline, 25 years, and on the right side you see the whole parameters. It was quite a lot of work, and my deadline was the 3rd of October. Unfortunately, I delivered it by the end of November. So my boss told me, like, okay, it kind of looks good, but stick to your normal job, meaning reporting. And since then, I really try to advocate this principle. It's called the KISS principle. I try somehow to convince reporters and editors that data journalism, data-driven journalism, can be very simple, can be very easy, and we can use it on a daily basis. So the KISS principle means, well, not this, but KISS means keep it simple, stupid. It's not only data-driven journalism expression. It's I think you can use it for all other kind of spheres where you want to show that things had to be simple. We had it also in a talk before, because in a time when we have fake news, until we made our 3D animated data visualization, time is gone. I mean, the fake news is already spread. So think simple, and because if you don't do it, the others will do it. As I told you I started 2014, and back then it was with debunking fake news, and back then it was quite easy because you had kind of just a picture and kind of a touch-grabbing or eye-catching title, and it was quite easy to debunk. But now, they started also with data-driven journalism, and you have two examples here. The right one is one very famous example that went viral in Germany just before the elections. We had, a couple of weeks ago, we had parliament elections in Germany, and this is a map where they tried to kind of manipulate data to show that the criminal cases arose after the refugee crisis broke out in Germany. Refugee crisis is quite a sensible topic in Germany, and this one influenced the parliament elections at the end. On the other hand, we have an example from the US, where also you have a completely different interpretation of the data. So actually, fake news in a form of data visualization. This is where fake news are intentionally hiding in visualization, but we as data journalists, we know how hard it can be and how many mistakes we can do from data scraping, searching the source, and so on, until we have our own chart. So for this, I have just 3 points that are very important for me. I don't know if everybody would agree with this, but I think that the key word in data journalism is actually journalism, because you have to know, you are very responsible for what kind of data you take, how you interpret it, how you put it into a context. And one second thing that is, I would really like to know how it's in your country, so just grab me after this. I'm advocating to introduce data science and data visualizations, and in actually reading data charts in the media literacy or in the curriculum, educational curriculum. I don't know if you have this at school, but I think it's quite important to have it in order not to be tricked into fake news. And of course, learn the basics. What do I mean by basics? This is I love this example very much, because you see actually a stork. You see it? Yeah, this is a stork in front of a clinic in Germany. This is birth-giving hospital in Germany, and there is a stork. So the question is actually, where do babies come from? It's quite easy for us now. I mean, we know the answer, but for topics where you do not know the answer, where you're not familiar with, like, for example, I don't know, emissions or climate change and whatever, it can be very misleading when you do not know what's cause, what's effect, what's correlation, or what's causality. And this is also one, it's not that new. Probably you know it, because in our circles it's the example for not knowing DDJ very well. It's the number of people who drowned by falling into a pool that correlates with the films that Nicolas Cage appeared in. So we see definitely a correlation here. And the question is, really? If Nicolas Cage does not appear in a film, does that mean that we do not have people drown in a pool? Or vice versa? I mean, I love Nicolas Cage, so I would kind of see him more often, but is it my fault and then people drown? Okay, you know, this is nonsense, but I just wanted to tell you how important it is to know the correlation and how sensitive it is when you decide what kind of chart are you doing. Are you doing a scatter plot? Because especially a scatter plot is using that kind of causality and correlation. And last but not least, my last slide, my topics. Use charts because it's more credible, as we saw it. Use simple charts, also animated charts. And if you visit my workshops tomorrow, I'll show you how to do it. And learn the basics, math, statistics. It's not so complicated. And I think actually that data journalism, DDJ, is not the answer to everything, but without it, we can't go through it. There is one thing where data journalism cannot help you, and this is something that scares me a lot in the recent years, and this is the kind of way of having news, real news, true news, that are doomed to be fake just because someone doesn't like it. And this is, and I don't have an answer for this, and DDJ cannot really help you in this case. This is it. Thank you and cheers.